Hey, what's going on, everybody? So in this video, we're going to be talking about my best lead generation strategies to get more meetings with your dream clients and close more deals. Now, if you're ready for this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and let's go ahead and dive in. So lead generation is the topic of this video, and I've been thinking about this quite deeply over the last few days because I feel like a lot of people are out there, they're sending a lot of cold emails, making a lot of cold calls, but then really not getting that much traction, and they're wondering what's going on. How come nobody wants to buy my product and service? Now, the people who are, entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, coaches, or consultants, or selling like something as a small business or a startup, typically these people will have the most trouble, especially let's say if you're even a salesperson working at a tech startup, you will also have this problem as well, right? So pretty much any brand that's not established will always have this problem. So here's the thing. A lot of the times why people are not getting the meetings that they want with their dream clients is that they actually don't know who their dream clients are. They're kind of just thinking like, oh, like Nike and Adidas and like Salesforce would be a perfect customer for me. But are they really? Right? Just because they're big brands and they have a lot of money, it doesn't mean you are the perfect solution to their problem, right? And so the first thing I would actually think about is for your product and service, what industry you're going for, and do they actually have money to buy your products and services? Because if they're not looking for those products and services, then it's kind of like, what's the point of actually trying to reach out to them, right? So imagine you're selling like luxury office chairs, right? So like office chairs, but like super high end. Imagine you were trying to sell it to small, medium marketing agencies in Alabama or wherever, right? Like, are they really purchasing these things? Probably not, and probably you need to move to a different area where people are willing to spend the money for that. So the first step, whatever your product and service is, understand who your market is. Do they have money to purchase your product and service? And what pains do they have that your product and service actually solves? Because if it doesn't solve any pain, you shouldn't expect anyone to respond to your email because it's like, well, what's so special about it, right? It's just like you're not solving a problem. So always look for problems that you can solve. If you're not solving a problem, you probably need to switch your product and service, switch your offer something different that people actually care about, then your response will skyrocket, right? So, if you're selling a bad product and you're sending it to a million email addresses and nobody responds, well, the reason is because whatever you're selling, nobody wants, right? And so you have to change the thing that you want, especially if you are an entrepreneur, a coach, or consultant, or somebody that has to create their own services or package, because you can just switch your offer and then everything changes. Your response rates will increase, right? So that's going to be very important for you guys, especially if you are starting something new like an agency or something like that, right? And so for me personally, I've been really involved in the crypto and the NFT space, and I actually started a different YouTube channel called Parallax, if you didn't know. In this space, it's kind of like there's so many problems and challenges that people face every single day that all these new agencies are suddenly like starting to pop up. It almost feels like when social media came out and everybody had a social media agency and they would just go to like local restaurants and be like, hey, we'll get you on Facebook, and like people pay money for that. It's the same feeling for like, Web3 and like crypto and NFTs. So like there's a lot of these agencies that just pop up and they're like, hey, we'll do this thing that's super easy to do. Pay us like 10K to do it. We'll get it done, right? And they can go to all these companies that have no idea how to do it. They have money, but they're willing to pay a professional to do the job. And so for these kind of agencies that are popping up, the reason why they're doing so well, even though they're just starting out, is because they're in a market that has a lot of money, that's willing to pay, and they solve a specific problem, and they could solve that problem very fast. So if you can do all those things and there's not much competition, it's going to be so much easier for you to generate leads and close more deals. So really reflect on the product that you have and the customers that you're serving. Are you really selling something that people actually want? Or are you selling something that, it's a commodity and everybody does the same thing, and you're basically screaming at the top of your lung to get attention and nobody listens to you, right? Because a lot of times, to be successful in life, it's really just going for the right opportunity. And if you're swimming uphill, you can still be successful, but it's like 10 times harder. But if you're going downhill, and in a good way, where it's like there's so much momentum, everybody's buying, there's so much money in the space, similar to like crypto and NFTs, then it's just so much easier, right? So industry, it matters, product matters, what your offer is matters. And then when you get all those things right and you tie it to a specific customer that has money, it just makes it so much easier to generate leads. So, if you're like, let's say a social media marketing agency for real estate agents, it's like, okay, well, how many are there that exist in your town, right? Probably a lot. So like maybe the opportunity is not as good and maybe you need to shift. But if you want to stick with that, then it's harder, but you have to be the best at what you do. Otherwise, you're just like everybody else. Now, another issue that people have is they're going to say like, oh, well, my product is for everybody. So how do I decide who I should be selling to, right? And how you want to think about that is you want to like narrow down your niches and narrow down your campaigns. Let's say you're selling web development services, right? You like build websites or you do like backend stuff, right? Well, technically everybody needs a website, but it doesn't mean you should reach out to everybody. So what I would recommend is that if you specialize in certain areas, for example, if you are the master of like backend web development for NFT projects, for example, then that would be something very specific and you could build a reputation in that and be the go-to person, right? But actually also seen in the NFT space, there are people who are starting to specialize in security software for Discord, which is like a very niche thing, right? And so like they can create products and not even have a website, not even have a white paper or nothing, right? And they just like hit you up on Twitter and like, yo, do you want some security for your Discord? Sure, it's gonna be like 5K. Okay, cool, here's my money. Boom, done. Like I literally did that the other day and don't even know who this guy is, don't even know if they have a company, don't even know if they're gonna keep doing this for the next year or not. It's like lifetime access, but because they're solving a specific problem, they're early to a market and they're known in the space and like really known. It's just like, you've been doing it for like 2 months in NFTs. I'm willing to pay like thousands of dollars for this kind of security to keep my community safe, right? So yeah, so that's an idea of like niching down and going for a specific market and being the best at what you do. A lot of times people like try different campaigns for different markets and that can work. It depends on what your product and service is, but I find that specializing and being the go-to person, whether it's a guy or gal, that is the way to go. Now, if you are selling something to many different markets and you're working in a large company and that's what they want you to do, here's another strategy. So you don't get to control like your branding because you work at a company, right? And they control that. You're just the person that generates leads and closes deals. So in those situations, you just want to narrow down like who you can potentially sell to and then do campaigns of like 20 different companies in that, ideal customer profile and then test it out. So if you're like, all right, today I'm going to go for dentists in California who make $1 million in revenue, then let's go ahead and hit them up, right? You find all dentists that fit that category and you hit them all up. If it works, great. Then you go to another state and you have the same category, but just a different state. And you do it again and you repeat it. Now, if it doesn't work, you just adjust some things. You say, okay, I'm not going to go for dentists. Let me go for chiropractors instead. But everything else stays the same. And you test it out. So it's like you're basically just testing until something actually hits and something resonates with your offer in that market. And when that happens, then you're on your way because you're finding a niche, you can dominate in it, and then you can just push until you saturate the entire market, and then you move to the next thing, right? And so that's typically how it goes. Now you might be wondering, okay, it sounds great, Patrick. You got all the strategy down. Well, how do you actually reach out to these people, right? So should I use a cold email? Should I use LinkedIn? Should I use Twitter? Like I heard that was cool. Okay, so here's my thought on it. You want to go where people are. So depending on who your customer is and where they hang out, that's the place you want to go. So if you're going for like very local, small, medium businesses in like Nebraska, then maybe like cold email is a way to go because maybe they're not hanging out on social media, right? But if you're selling into crypto and NFTs and like Web3 and like the whole like tech world, well, Twitter is really good, right? And I've done a lot of business on Twitter and I've bought products and services and thousands of dollars over Twitter. And that's the place to go because for NFTs and crypto, that's where it lives, right? And Discord as well. But if you're like working at Oracle and you're selling like B2B enterprise software and you want to sell into hospitals, these people aren't going to be on Twitter. They're going to be on LinkedIn and, they're going to respond to cold email. They're going to respond to cold calling, right? So that's the channel you go for that way, right? In crypto, you can't cold call anybody because like half the people aren't anonymous. So you don't even know their name. So it's like you want to go where the people are and then you just want to focus on mastering that area of communications. So if you find that in your specific market that like cold email works extremely well, double down on cold email and get more meetings, right? You don't have to do cold email, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram all at the same time because you're spreading yourself out too thin. Find one channel that works and repeat it until it's just a machine that just generates leads. And then from there, if you want to add another channel, which is a lot of work, then add another channel, right? But you shouldn't do 10 channels at once because you're not really like focused like a laser and it's not going to break through and you're just going to be noise and you want to be that signal, right? So I would say focus on one channel that really works. Anybody that says like, oh, I do this, and then like you don't see them generating closing deals, it's like they're doing a lot, but they're not really doing anything. And I don't want that to happen to you. So if you got cold calling, you're a master at it, cold call. If you're cold emailing, that works for you, cold email. If you can do both at the same time, great, props to you, you know what I mean? But you don't have to be on cold call, cold email, LinkedIn, and all these things because it's very difficult to manage like 5 different platforms at once. I think at most people can do like 3 at most, probably like 1 or 2 realistically. And I would actually just hyper focus on the things that work for you, double down and just run the numbers up. So the final tip I have for you is that whenever you find one good customer or one good meeting or you close one good deal, when it comes to lead generation, what you want to do is you want to replicate that success. So if you found that crypto companies who are startups and they're looking to launch a project, that's the niche for you, then, and you had a good meeting with this person and then you close the deal, find more people that fit the ideal customer profile, right? And I'm only talking about crypto because that's kind of what I've been doing for a while, especially in the past few months. So if you hate crypto, whatever, but it's just the industry, right? So essentially, when you find one good customer, replicate. And then when you find one bad customer, understand like, okay, well, I didn't really like working with this person. They paid me, but then I don't want to find more people like that. Let's find more people that actually are fun and good and they're easy to work with, right? So whenever you see something that works, please write it down. Please, analyze every single thing about that customer of why they are a good customer, and then replicate that success and try to find more people that fit the bill. The more people you can find, the better basically your ideal customer profile gets, meaning that the more customers you serve, you start to understand like, okay, these are the people that we want, right? So I remember when I used to work at Lob, which is a startup, during my first week there, the first thing they did was like, they're like, all right, look, Patrick, these are our top 20 customers. We want more people like this. So like whatever these people are, analyze it, figure out like, why is it that they love our product and services, and find more people like this, right? And at the time, the company I worked at, they had like thousands of customers, but they said like only focus on the top 20, because those are the ones that drive the most revenue and a majority of the revenue for the company. So I'm like, all right, bet, like I will find more companies like this, right? And so when I'm reaching out to people, I'm thinking, do they fit the bill? If not, why am I reaching out to them, right? Always try to replicate your success, because it's like, it's hard to find something that works. When you do find that needle in the haystack, double down, and then expand and dominate that particular niche, because that's how you win the game. So with that said, that's everything that we got to cover when it comes to lead generation. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you guys in the next one.